A quite early start today as we were aiming to bird around the Muyil Archaeological Site, on the other side of Tulum. We want to get there as it opened at 8 a.m. Even then they weren't really ready for us, so we were allowed to walk in and pay on the way out. Muyil means place of the rabbit in Yucatan Maya and is a contemporary name. The original name of the city is not known. The well-kept grounds around the ruins were alive with birds. Lesser and tawny-crowned greenlet, brown, green and Yucatan jay, spot-breasted and white-bellied wren, ivory-billed woodcreeper, black-cowled, hooded and Altamira orioles, red-crowned and red-throated ant tanager and bright-rumped Attila. It was difficult to know where to look first. Frustratingly, photo opportunities were very limited. Still, there were also Maya ruins to look at, although they didn't get much more than a cursory look. This, the entrance plaza, consisted of 10 pyramidal bases on which temples had been built. One pillared temple still held traces of the original paint, including some blue that was specially sacred to the Maya. Here we also came across the other squirrel found in the Yucatan, depth squirrel. Generally found in lowland areas with damp tropical forests, these squirrels are known to like archaeological sites, so it was not too surprising to find them here at Muyil. Although a tree-dwelling animal, they do like to forage on the ground for nuts, seeds, fruits, roots and insects. We made our way from the entrance plaza to the next temple, known as the Pink Palace or Temple 8. This was the center of Muyil's religious area, built during the late post-classic period, 1250 to 1550 CE. A temple was constructed on top of the pyramid. The deeply vegetated surroundings were not, unfortunately, very conducive to photography. A butterfly, pale-banded crescent, was a welcome exception. The next monument is known as El Castillo, a pyramid set in a pleasant clearing. The Castillo, at 17 meters high, is the tallest construction on the site and on the north-central coast of Quintana Roo. It is unusual because of the circular tower-like feature of the temple at the top of the pyramid and for the stucco panels featuring herons placed above the eastern door. The herons are certainly very stylized. We found a few birds in the vegetation bordering the clearing, including a very active northern water thrush. A small group of red-throated ant tanagers were foraging but resolutely refused to come out for a proper look. At the back of the site was a trail, Cane and Ha, which was part of the Sian Ka'an Biosphere Reserve and led to the Laguna Muyil. It needed an additional fee of 50 pesos but sounded like it would be interesting. Most of the 0.5 kilometer length was boardwalk, set amongst thick vegetation and with crystal clear pools. Great habitat. We found excellent species here, like long-billed gnat wren, wood thrush, olivaceous and ruddy woodcreeper and grey catbird, but it wasn't easy birding. At the end was Laguna Muyil and a surprise, a car park, lots of boats and people driving straight in. Boat rides could be taken to explore the lake and the canals dug by the ancient Maya. Unfortunately, the activity had scared away the wood rails reported to be there earlier. We only found their footprints. Still, this tropical kingbird was stoically ignoring the screaming tourists in flip-flops boarding the boats. I suppose we were grateful there wasn't any ziplining. A hooded oriole was being equally stoic back near the trailhead, as was a black spiny-tailed iguana. He looked like he'd seen it all before. It was a quicker trip back up the boardwalk, arriving back at the Castillo where a group of black-headed saltators also refused to show themselves properly. It was the story of the day, so far. After an abortive trip down the Punta Allen Peninsula, which was tourist hell for us, we pitched up at Zelha Archaeological Site for the last few hours of the day. We'd visited this site back in 2009, when it was free, deserted and rather neglected. That had changed. It was now gated, with an admission charge and being actively worked on, although it was mostly construction rather than excavation. We were the only visitors. Bird-wise it was pretty good. Red-billed and white-tipped pigeons, black-headed trogon, turquoise-browed marmot and our first Yucatan flycatcher of the trip were highlights. And no screaming tourists, just a gentle clatter of construction, which was our normal backdrop every day anyway. We were chased off-site by security when we inadvertently followed a paved road back to the gate, which apparently was verboten. Who knew? So we headed back to our hotel and our tree for the last hour before dinner. Our tree had its normal complement of hooded, magnolia and yellow-throated warblers, flycatchers, woodpeckers, and a treat in the form of a pretty confiding bright-rumped Attila, singing his heart out. You can see where the bright-rumped moniker comes from in these photos. Not sure about Attila though. Muyil had certainly lived up to its reputation as a birding site. It had been easy walking, quiet, at least first thing, except for birdsong and the gentle clang of archaeologists, and laid back when it came to entrance payments. We paid our 65 pesos on the way out. It is popular with local birding guides, who tend to be the only visitors at 8 a.m. It would be great if it opened an hour earlier to cater for the birders. Canaan Boardwalk was definitely worth the extra 50 pesos, but the free-for-all at the end was disappointing. The Biosphere Reserve is not a theme park, but many visitors were treating it that way. It's definitely better to make the walk down there early, to miss the tourist buses. Zelha is also good for birds, and would probably benefit from an early morning visit. Unfortunately, we had only one full day left, and that was already allocated. We were going to Koba, more ruins and, hopefully, lots more birds.